All right, here we go. Last video of the whole course, and it should be a short one, we hope. The 3-minute review here. Um, it says if you are adjusting a budget to increase one budget line, say for buying a new car, you want to buy a new car and budget for it, what are 3 strategies for compensating for the increase in expenses? Of course, there's no right or wrong answers. You just have to argue well. But the 3 that I came up with, whoops, or get a better job, right? You increase the income. That way you'll have a little more on your budget. You could decrease the wants lines, what I call the disposable income, like entertainment and fast food. And now the problem is this is no fun at all. This is hard to do because usually your entertainment and fast food spending are habits that you'd have to break if you wanted to afford a new car. And this is how people get into debt. And this is how people have sad faces. If you just say you're going to spend less money on entertainment, you go out and buy a new car, and you end up spending the same amount on McDonald's as you used to. In fact, more because you've got a new car to cruise out to McDonald's. So this is a tough one to do, but some people have the discipline to do that. A third one is that you could just decrease the savings amount, and usually this is reasonable because if you're buying a new car, then probably you were saving for it for a while, and it's okay for those savings to go down. Although almost always there's something that and you might have some other strategies, and that's fine. All right, last sort of little lesson. This question is just like the exam question, very similar. So the idea here is Ferd's got he's moving to London to attend Fanshawe. He's got 3 choices of accommodations, and we're gonna choose. And here, it doesn't matter what you choose. You just have to give points to back it up, right? And then we're going to do a budget for Ferd on the next page. And whatever this is your opinion, and these are arguments, so it's kind of like English class here. You have to defend yourself. Um, and as long as you make good points, 4 different good points, I'd be happy. Just because it's first, I'm going to assume that Ferd's going to rent. He's not going to stay in college resident. He's not going to commute. He's going to rent an apartment. And notice that all these costs here are different. And notice that just this in passing is a little bit weird. A 1-year lease might mean that Ferd's going to, when he's not at school, would mean that he'd have to live in London or find somebody else to sublet or something like that. But let's do a budget for Ferd. Now, I've got it all written here, but I'm going to go through it pretty quick. So all these expenditures, some of them are fixed expenses, some of them are variable expenses. You have to change them to a monthly amount because this is supposed to be a monthly budget. There was 2 incomes, the job and the loan. And again, we're making some assumptions here that $180 a week, if that's in London, is he going to stay in London for the other four months? So for instance, this 12 might only be 8 months, right? And so are we adjusting it just for the 8 months that he's in Fanshawe? Well, all of these calculations that I did were based on a 12-month cycle. So he's going to be in London for all 12 months. You might make the assumption that he's only there for 8 months, so this might be dividing by 8, or this number of weeks would be different. Should still be about $780 a month that he's earning. And we see the loan, $6,000 each semester. Notice that, again, should that be 12 or should that be the 8 months that he's in London at school? Does he want the loan to last the entire year? Well, then I'm dividing by 12. Or is it just for the 8 months that he's at school? Again, these are assumptions that you have to make when you're doing your budget. Notice my expenses, the ones that were different for me, I had rent and I had food there. And I ended up getting a total that Ferd had, when I went income subtract expenses, Ferd had $6 left over. So what would we do with a balance that's positive? Well, if it's a significant amount, we might put in a savings line. We'd put a savings line in here somewhere and say, okay, Ferd's saving a certain amount. For this $6, probably what you would do is you'd take that $6 and you'd put some on these ones, maybe round that off to 220, and then $3 there, $3 there. So usually we like having a balance of zero, a balanced budget. You say, well, okay, well, there's savings though. You know, that's a positive at the end. Yes, that's true. So overall, though, we think of every dollar. We like having every dollar being accounted for. What happens if this ends up being a minus? So minus $40 or something like that. What would we do? Well, we'd have to go back and fix this somehow. Maybe Ferd can't afford to rent. Maybe he has to live in residence, or maybe he has to commute. These are the decisions that you make before you go off to college, not after. Okay, and so notice that even though this is my solution, there are lots of different solutions depending on the assumptions you make and the advice you're given to Ferd. Okay, what's the rest of the day? What's up today? Well, essentially you're doing review. Notice that there's quite a few of these things. Probably if you worked in a group of 3, there's probably 4 things that you never even practiced at all. You didn't practice them at all. So you need to do the review, right? This review will make sure you've got all the budget knowledge for the exam. And again, the pink notes or pink sheets and this review is going to be handed in. These are for individual marks. The project was kind of instead of having a test, but the review and pink sheets are for your individual marks along with the tracking sheet. Okay. That's it, folks. No test, like I said, on this one. And as soon as you get this stuff done, then it's on to exam review, which you already have. That's it. That's MAP4C. Say 2.